Hello everybody, and welcome back to Random Vids. As you all know, I love myself some good old Disney movies. They're great, and about a year ago, a little over a year, I talked about some of my absolute favorite Disney movies of all time. Which, there is definitely a lot of great Disney movies, as you can tell with all the honorable mentions I had. But, what if I went through the whole list of Disney movies and rated them on a scale of 1 to 5? How good is the movie? Like, how much do I enjoy it? How much have I seen this movie? Because it's been a while since I've seen some of these movies. Now, I have seen a decent amount of Disney movies. Some of them I've only seen one time, some of them I've seen a bunch of times, some of them I've seen maybe a decent amount back in the day, but I haven't seen them in a while, or maybe it's a bunch that, I just love, so I see them whenever the heck I feel like it. So that's what we're going to do today, where I'm going to talk about each Disney movie that I've seen, and I'm going to rate them from 1 to 5 based off of how much I really love the movie. 1, of course, being garbage, and 5 being amazing. So we're going to go in chronological order, by the way, to make it easier for me. Also, no Pixar. I think Pixar can deserve its own list of ratings. Besides, this video would go on forever. So, speaking of which, I've chatted enough. Let's get to the first movie that I've seen enough that I can rate it. And that is Pinocchio. Now, you guys are probably wondering why I skipped Snow White. That's because of the fact that, honestly, I don't remember much of Snow White. I've seen it before, don't get me wrong, but it's not one that I've seen in a while. And I've definitely seen, I'd say, Pinocchio more than Snow White. So I'll include Pinocchio, but not Snow White. Another thing that I forgot to mention is, yes, I will include the Disney live-action remakes, but only the ones that I've seen, of course. Well, let's get to Pinocchio. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, like I said. It follows a young boy named Pinocchio, who is a wooden puppet, and he has to try to fit in with everyone else without doing bad things. And that's where his conscience, Jiminy Cricket, comes in. But, unfortunately, Pinocchio doesn't end up listening to Jiminy half the time, and he ends up going to Pleasure Island, where all the bad boys go, and they get turned into donkeys. This is one of those things that I notice with a lot of the especially older Disney movies, is a lot of them do have a lot of creepy scenes in them. And there's scenes that definitely could scare any child. Like, for example, the donkey transformation, when the boys are changing into donkeys. Yeah, I could see any child having nightmares about this scene. Some other nitpicks that I know about this movie that I can remember is that it's kind of boring, honestly. There isn't really much interesting going on, and a lot of it is just Pinocchio trying to stay out of trouble and listen to his father. At the end of the movie, he turns into a real boy. I mean, we know how the movie ends. Personally, I'd give this movie probably like a 2 out of 5. It's nothing terrible, but I just think there's way better Disney movies out there. And this is a movie that I also haven't seen in a while either, so maybe eventually I'll rewatch it, and my opinions will change. There has been times where, like, I sat down and rewatched a lot of the Disney movies. Like, there was a time back in, I think it was like 2020 and 2021, I rewatched a lot of the Disney and Pixar movies. And then just recently here in 2023, I rewatched some of those movies as well. Or, not 2023, 2024, just last year. Plus, with Disney Plus, it's so much nicer now being able to find any Disney movie you want instead of having to buy them online, because we don't have every Disney movie, so now you can just pop it in and watch it whenever the heck you want to. It's great. Well, anyway, Pinocchio is a classic, but it's not one of my personal faves. Moving on. Bambi. So here we're still stuck in the 40s with a bunch of the 40s movies that Disney created. Not a bad thing, though, because some of these 40s movies can actually be quite good. And honestly, I would say out of any movie that was made in the 1940s, Bambi would have to be my personal favorite. It's one of those ones that I grew up with as a kid, watching it a lot of times over and over again, not realizing how old of a movie this movie actually was, made in the 1940s. Wow. Well, anyway, this movie stars, of course, Bambi, who is a young deer. His mother ends up getting shot by hunters, and now he's basically on his own. Or he's with his dad. I don't know. This movie, once again, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, so it's one that I definitely have to rewatch again, because it's been such a long time. Now, yes, this movie does have a sequel, which we will talk about later. Yes, I'm including Disney sequels. So, there's that. One thing I remember loving about this movie is the different characters. Like, obviously, Bambi is obviously a great main character. He's a very curious young fawn. So, it's fun, or fawn, deer, whatever it is. What are the baby deers called? Are they fawns? I don't know. Button Bambi Super Kitties, maybe you know, before I would. Anyway, also loved Thumper the Rabbit and Flower the Skunk. They're just a great trio of characters. And, of course, they are very cute. You wouldn't necessarily hear me say that skunks are cute, but in this case, it's fine. Flower is cute. And all the other animals, of course, are great as well. The only problem, once again, is because of the fact that this is an older Disney movie, is that certain scenes tend to drag on a bit more for my liking. But, once again, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie, so I really do need to rewatch it. It's on my rewatch list. Also love how outgoing Thumper is, too. He's just our Disney bunny. What else can I say? Overall, Bambi is a great, cute movie, but I just don't know where I would rate it. You know what? I'm going to rate it... this is tough. This is tough. If I would have rated it out of 10, it would be easier, but I want to make it a little hard on myself. Do I give it the 4 out of 5, or do I give it the 3 out of 5? Because I'm definitely in between. You know what? I'm going to give it the 3.5 out of 5. I think it's fair enough to do that. So, but once I rewatch this movie again in the future, then maybe I'll have a better rating of it. But for now, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. Shout out to you, Button Baby Super Kitties, by the way. And I know you really enjoy this movie as well. Next up is Cinderella. We now left the 40s and we've entered the 50s of Disney movies. And I guess the movies that they made in the 50s are a bit better than in the 40s. I mean, I don't want to be biased and say that I love the newer Disney movies. Well, I shouldn't say newer Disney movies, but the ones that I kind of more... The ones that are a little more nostalgia, or just like the 90s. But, obviously, these are all classics, and they all are great on their own. I just think they're maybe a little more slow-paced compared to some of the newer ones in a way. But, you know, it's not necessarily the movie's fault. And it's just kind of how the time period was. Well, anyway, who hasn't heard of Cinderella? Even if you haven't watched this movie, I mean, it's had spin-offs everywhere. So, basically, everything is the same. We all know how the story goes. Young teenage princess. It's kind of weird how all these princesses are teenagers, yet they don't necessarily look like teenagers. Well, anyway, she wants to go to the ball. Stepmother says no. Then she ends up going to the ball after all, gets married, and happily ever after. Personally, out of the typical cutesy princessy movies, this one has to be one of my more favorite ones. Although they are kind of different in a way. I don't know. I do like Cinderella in a way, but it's a classic, so of course it's a really great one. I don't know. It's a pretty good movie. I've only seen it a total of probably like one time though, unfortunately, but that was more recent, back in like 2021, I think it was, like early 2021 or 2020. It was something like that. But anyway, I do like Cinderella, and I do think it is a good movie. Even if I've only watched it a total of one time, it is once again, it is more slower. The songs definitely aren't the greatest either. That's another thing I keep forgetting to mention. The songs. I don't know what my favorite song in this movie would be. Bippity Boppity Boo may be up there. But ones like This Is Love is just your stereotypic cutesy lovey-dovey song. Yeah. A lot of them are kind of boring. But overall, I'd probably give this movie a solid 3 out of 5. I do think it is a really great classic, Disney movie. I love the mice, too. They're great, cute characters. Yeah, nothing else really I have to say about this movie. It's a classic, it's good, and that's about it. Next up, we have Alice in Wonderland. I've only seen this movie a total of one time, and that was back in like early 2020. So it's been a while. It's been a decent time since I've seen this movie, but for good reasons. I'm personally not the biggest fan of this movie at all. I can respect what it's doing, and I can see what it's doing. It is kind of a unique movie. What if a random girl just ends up in this strange place where, who knows what could happen down there? Well, you get Alice in Wonderland, and personally, I just found the movie very boring as it went on. Now, okay, maybe not as it went on, because I will say, I didn't mind parts of the movie. Like, obviously, the Mad Hatter and the Tea Party is an iconic scene. It is, I would say that part of the movie is kind of great. And also, like, the Queen of Hearts. She's just a silly, great villain. So, that part of the movie wasn't bad either. But all that in between stuff was just so boring. Between Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and then this caterpillar and the flowers singing, it gets too long. That's my thing. And once again, yeah, it is an older Disney movie, so of course there's gonna be times where the movie feels like it's a lot longer, which is fine, but to me it just gets boring, and I just feel like it's a rinse and repeat cycle. Alice meets a new character. They have a singing number, then she moves on to the next character. It's just very rinse and repeat, and it just gets super boring by the mid end of it. Like I said though, at least I would say the Mad Hatter scenes and the Queen of Hearts scenes are the best parts of the movie, just because it's actually interesting. Like, they're actual interesting characters. But other than that, this movie is just boring to me. I never really was a big fan of it. I just wanted to watch it because that was around the time that Disney Plus first came out. So I could watch movies like Alice in Wonderland that I haven't seen before. So I got curious and watched it and figured, well, I can at least say I watched it now. So, yeah, I'm giving this movie a 1 out of 5. I'm sorry. It's just not for me. I don't like this movie much at all. But here it is. Next up, we have Lady and the Tramp. Ooh, boy. This one is a classic. But that's how a lot of these older ones are. They're classics, that's for sure. And I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of a sucker for the Disney animal type of movies. Just because I think honestly, half of them are better than some of the typical princessy movies. Because now we're actually focused on different characters besides just humans or princesses all the time. Which, I don't mind, but it does get a little repetitive, if you know what I mean. Especially in some of these earlier years of Disney. But Lady and the Tramp, this movie is really great. Okay, it's great. It's not my favorite, but, you know, at least it's one of my favorites it's probably my favorite movie from the 50s, I'd say, of the Disney era. And this is the only one from the 50s that I've seen, you know, as a kid growing up. I didn't have a lot of those other ones like Cinderella or Alice in Wonderland until Disney Plus came out. But Lady and the Tramp, this movie's kind of good. It focuses on a dog named Lady, who I guess is the dog of Jim Dear and Darlin. And we get to see kind of, I guess, her life in the house. And eventually they have a baby, then they go on vacation, so now she has someone else in the house. And then she runs away, she meets Tramp, and of course the iconic spaghetti scene. I mean, what's not to love? Although, I will say, I think they definitely got a lot better with the animal movies, because this one's good, but I think there's better ones out there. So, I give this one probably about a 3 out of 5. And, once again, it's in the 50s, so there is a lot of slower scenes to it, scenes that kind of drag on. Although, like for example, the scene with Lady and the Tramp starting to become really great friends and starting to probably have some sort of romantic interest in each other. The scene just kind of drags, in my opinion. Now, yeah, we know, we can tell they love each other, but I don't necessarily think we need a scene that needs to drag either. And that's another thing. The music in this movie is very below average for me. I don't love the cutesy, slow, bland songs. I would much rather like the catchy gospel, like, I don't know what you want to call it, like the songs from like Princess and the Frog or something like that. Now those songs, ooh, we'll get to that movie later. But overall, once again, this is a good movie, but just not one of my absolute faves. But in my opinion, this movie is also probably my favorite from the 50s era. Next up, we have Sleeping Beauty. So this is a movie that I saw back in like early 2020, once again when I first got Disney Plus. And I just recently rewatched it back in 2024. So, at least this is a movie that I've seen, you know, more than once from the 50s era. Because I feel like that's just kind of the theme of the 50s. I don't have any of them except for Lady and the Tramp, and then when Disney Plus comes out, then I can watch them all. Well, anyway, once again, this movie is kind of, you know, in my opinion, once again, it in a way kind of feels similar to stuff like Cinderella or Snow White, but just has a little bit of difference in it, so not bad, just something that, you know, been seeing a lot of. So the story follows a princess named Aurora, and on her 16th birthday, then she will fall into a deep, deep sleep by touching a spin wheel, I guess. Okay. So then everyone has, or I guess her future husband has to defeat Maleficent, and there you go. That's your Disney movie. Once again, another classic. It's just another one that gets a little slow at times. Like, once again, these movies are good. I just think they get a little slow. And another thing is that the music is kind of bland. I'm not a big fan of the early Disney movie music. I don't think it started getting good until like the 70s, I'd say. Then the Disney songs started getting, I should say, better. But in these earlier years, a lot of the songs were very below average, I'd say. Not all of them, but they were just too slow. And I love the modern instruments they use way better than whatever was used in the earlier days. But yeah, Sleeping Beauty, not much else I have to say. Although I forgot to give it a score. Once again, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. It's good, it's just not wonderful. Not one of my favorites, I should say. Next up, we have 101 Dalmatians. So we have now left the era of the 50s, and we have now moved on to the 60s. Starting with one of my all-time favorites, 101 Dalmatians. Once again, I'm a sucker for Disney animals in Disney films. And puppies and dogs obviously are no exception. They're my absolute favorite animal of all time. I love dogs. So having a movie based off of dogs, of course, is going to be, one of my favorites. And once again, this is such a nostalgia movie because I've seen it so many times as a child. So what need I say that hasn't been said already? All the characters in this movie are great. I love our main characters, Roger and Anita, and even the main dogs, Pongo and Perdita. Heck, even the villains are great. Cruella de Vil and her henchmen, Jasper and Horace. I mean, obviously they kind of a little more in this movie, but a lot of their sequels or spin-offs, they're really hilarious in. So I love the way that they used these villains. And Cruella de Vil remains as one of the most iconic villains of all time. So, hey, this movie is great. And once again, the music in this movie, I mean, it's nothing crazy, but I will say it's better than stuff like that we got in like Cinderella or Alice in Wonderland or something like that. So they are getting better, I would say, with their music by the time the 60s era comes on. But still nothing, too crazy for me. But this is such a childhood movie. I remember seeing it so many times as a kid back when we used to have VHS and stuff. So it's funny how far we come from VHS to now just streaming it on Disney Plus. It's crazy. But you guys already know I love this show. But do I give it that 5 out of 5? Because there is some scenes that are kind of slow, like Pongo and Perdita slowly making their way to the DeVille place. But I don't know. This one overall is still a classic. You know what? I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5. Because I do want to give it the extra step and give it that 5 out of 5. But something is telling me, nah. Maybe not a full-on 5 out of 5. But come on, this is still a great movie for sure. So, yeah, let's move on. Next movie we have is The Sword in the Stone. So this is another one of those movies that I've never seen, as a kid until just recently. I think it was like late last year in 2024 where I finally watched The Sword in the Stone for the first time because I was curious on, what the movie was actually like. And I will say it definitely does feel like one of those earlier Disney movies. It does feel like it comes out of the 60s era. But I will say I do like the movie. And this is the last movie that Walt Disney was a part of before his unfortunate death in, I think it was 1966 or something like that, 1964. It was in the mid-60s like that. But, so this was the last movie that he really had a partake in. So obviously, it's a great, almost like memorial to him in a way. But how great is the movie itself? I mean, I did like it when I watched it. It was nothing too crazy. It follows a young kid named Arthur. Well, Wart, as they call him. And he gets help from Merlin to help him train to be, I don't know, some sort of king, I guess? I don't really remember this movie much. Once again, I've only seen it one time last year, so I can't. If this was one time like 10 years ago, then I wouldn't even include this one. But because it was one time just last year, I figured I'd include it. I do remember liking it. I remember the owl hated Wart. There was some great scenes in it. The music in this movie wasn't bad either, I guess. I don't know. I just don't remember much of the movie, so that's kind of a problem, I guess. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it was a bad movie. It's just one, it kind of feels like some of the other ones. I'd give it, once again, probably like a 3 out of 5 for the ratings. So, yeah, Sword in the Stone. What else need I say? Next up, we have The Jungle Book. Now, this may be a hot take, but honestly, I feel Jungle Book is a very overrated Disney movie. And I don't know. it was just one of those ones that isn't really my cup of tea. Now, that's not me saying it's a bad movie, because it's not a bad movie. But at the same time, there's just way better ones out there. That this one to me is just eh. So overall, this one gets like a 2 out of 5. It's definitely more of a below average movie for me. None of the characters really stand out or anything. Mowgli is fine. Baloo is fine. That's about it for this movie. I don't know. It's just not something that I really necessarily. I guess I saw it a few times as a kid, but I don't know. It's just never been one of those ones that I've fondly loved or anything. And the music in this movie is once again very overrated. Like, I Want to Be Like You, that song is just so bland to me. And don't even get me started on Bare Necessities. I don't mind it, but it definitely is very overrated as well. And most of the other songs in this movie are also just very below average. So yeah, unfortunately, this is not a movie for me at all. So there was a few things that I think are fine, but there's just better movies out there. So this one is definitely not one for me. Next movie is The Aristocats. So we're now leaving the 60s era and getting into the 70s. And at this point, in my opinion, the Disney movies have been just getting better and better as the years have been going on. Starting off with slow movies and turning into movies like this. Now, The Aristocats is definitely a big nostalgia movie to me because of the fact that I've seen it a decent amount as a kid. One of those ones, once again, that I had on a VHS tape. And also, as you may know, this is a movie starring of cats. So once again, it's a very, it's one of those movies that tend to hook me on because I love Disney animals. They're cute. And cats is no exception. They are probably, in my opinion, my second favorite, animals of all time, next to dogs. So having a great movie starring of cats is just wonderful. And no, I do not mean Cats the musical. That is something completely different. Moving on, this movie is a really just cute movie overall. And I feel like the title really, what's the word? It really, it gives us a little bit of everyone to kind of appreciate, if you know what I mean. You get to see Duchess and Thomas O'Malley. We get to see a great amount of screen time of them. We get our main human character. We get to see her, Madame. We get to see her a lot. Then we get to see our villain, Edgar, and see him a decent amount. And then all the side characters, and of course the kittens. Who could have forget the kittens? That's the main part I came to see this movie. Marie, Toulouse, and Berlioz are a group of 3 adorable kittens of Duchess. My favorite has always been Berlioz. I don't know why. He's just adorable. I love him. He's easily my favorite out of the he's probably my favorite character in this movie. I don't know why. But I just like him better than Toulouse and Marie. But all 3 are obviously very cute. Maybe it's just... I love the scene where they first end up realizing that they're not at home. And Duchess is looking around for her lost kittens. And Berlioz, at one point, is in the water and he sees a frog and he's afraid of it and goes over to Duchess. It's a cute scene. I love that scene. And I love this movie. This is a movie that I actually do love the music in. Well, Skills and what's the one in the beginning? The one that the cats sing are just alright. That one's alright. It's cute, but nothing too crazy. But the other one, Everybody Wants to Be a Cat, that one is a really great one. I do really like that movie. So, even though I like dogs better than cats, I do think they did a better job with... I did think that they did a better job with the cat movie than the dog one. So, I'll give this one... You know what? This is going to be the first one that I'm going to give a 5 out of 5 to. Because as time has went on, I've really grown to appreciate this movie a lot more than originally. It's a great movie. I thought it was a great movie back then, but now as I'm older, I'm like, man, this is still held up to this day as a really, really great movie. So, in my opinion, I'd get a 5 out of 5. Next up, we have Robin Hood. Now, I haven't seen this movie as much as Aristocats, and it isn't, as nostalgic as Aristocats. But I will say this movie is decent overall. Now, once again, it's been a minute since I've seen this movie. Last time was probably like 2021 or 2022, something like that. But for what I remember of this movie, I do remember liking it. It does star Disney animals again, so I should really love that. But I kind of love the young animals, like the puppies and the kittens. So unfortunately, this movie doesn't really have much of that. I mean, you have the little bunny. What's his name? Skippy, and his sister. Oh, what's her name? Well, anyway, you know what I mean. You have the kids of the movie, but you also have the adults. So this is a good movie. It's just not one I necessarily remember much, but I think it's one of those movies that, once again, is pretty average. You know, a great movie, just not one of my absolute favorites. So I think this would also get probably like a 3 out of 5. Next movie is The Fox and the Hound. Would you look at that? It's another cute animal movie. So once again, it's another movie that I'm going to be a sucker to. But it's also another nostalgia movie that I've seen a lot as a kid as well. So in that regard, I love this movie as well. It stars a young fox named Todd. Foxes are another one of my absolute favorite animals. So, and it's adorable. Oh, Todd is so adorable. I love the way that they portrayed him in this movie. From his design to his personality to, I don't know, everything. I just love Todd. And he makes a best friend, Copper, who is also really adorable too. We all know how the movie goes. It's a nice, fun little movie. The only thing I didn't really like about the movie was the villain, Amos. I was never really a big fan of Amos. I always found him to be half the reason why Miss Tweed, left Todd in the forest, which was easily one of the most heartbreaking, saddest moments in like any Disney film. I'd take this over the Dumbo scene any day. But yeah, it's one of those just like sad scenes, just because Todd is such a great character, and seeing him and Miss Tweed just release Todd in the forest like that has to be easily one of the most saddest scenes out of any Disney movie for sure. In my opinion, it's probably the saddest scene out of any Disney movie. It does choke me up from the last time I've seen it, which was a long time ago. But yeah, it's a sad scene, but I don't know, maybe that's just why I'm not a big fan of Amos, at least in this movie. But I don't know. I guess, to me, he just portrays the grumpy neighbor. But I guess he ends up turning out fine by the end of the movie. I don't know. But I'm not really here to see the villain. I'm here to see a cute little fox with his friend, Copper. So, yeah, this is overall a great movie. Now, I will say the second half of the movie is a little more okay. I do like the first half of the movie a bit more, but overall, this is still a great, great Disney movie for sure. I'd give this one, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I don't think I'm going to quite give it a 5 out of 5, but I'll give it a 4 out of 5, because it is a great movie for sure. Also forgot to mention that we have now left the 70s, and we are now on into the 80s, and this is where the Disney movies really started to change from classic to musical era, which we'll get to in a sec. Next up, we have Oliver and Company, and oh man, this is another really great movie. Now, I haven't seen this movie till like 2017, I'd say 2018. So it's not one of those young, nostalgic movies, although because 2017, 18 has been a long time ago now at this point, it's almost the fact that is now this is now kind of a nostalgic movie. I remember the first time watching this, and once again, it's another Disney animal type movie, so it's another movie that's definitely going to get me hooked. It's basically just the movie, it's literally just the musical Oliver Twist, but now just with animals. So, I ain't complaining, because I do love the Oliver Twist, musical. So, having that be ran by Disney and turned into animals, hey, I'm here for it. So, I really honestly, I like every character in this movie. Between Oliver the kitten, who is an extremely adorable character, by the way, Dodger's a great character, his whole gang is great. I especially love Tito. I don't know why, I've always loved Tito. I just found his design very cute. And I don't know, I've always found Chihuahuas in cartoon movies cute, even if I never want to get one in real life. But I love Tito, I love Georgette. I love all the humans in this movie too, like Fagin, Bill Sykes, Jenny. Like, they're all great characters. If I had to pick a bad character, it'd probably be Roscoe and DeSoto, the henchmen to Sykes, just because they're boring and they're just your stereotypic bad guys. But I love this movie, and even if like it isn't a big giant movie like some of the others, I still almost prefer this one over some of those other ones. Heck, give me this movie any day over something like Jungle Book. Ugh, This movie is actually really great and creative, and it's not just everywhere all over the place. It's a very underappreciated and underrated movie, in my opinion, and it is easily a 5 out of 5 for me. I love this movie, without a doubt. So, yeah, nothing else I have to say about this movie. I love it. It's amazing. And another thing that I forgot to mention is the fact that we're now in the era, the musical era, as I like to call it, where we're in the late 80s and musicals is basically taken over Disney, which is a good thing because of the fact that, like I said, back in the earlier years, the musics in Disney movies haven't necessarily been some of my favorites, especially the slower songs. So, thank God with musicals taking over Disney movies to kind of enhance these movies in a way. And I like it because the music in this movie is really, really good, by the way. So, yeah, great movie, great just everything about it. It's probably one of my absolute, if not my favorite Disney movie of all time. It gets a 5 out of 5 for sure. Next up, we have The Little Mermaid. So, this is the last movie out of the 80s, but we're really in that musical era of Disney films, and I'm all here for it because I love musicals, I love music, I love dancing around and listening to them. So, heck, I even love singing along to them. Yes, I don't care if I'm a 21-year-old dude. I'll sing along to Disney movies, even if it is something silly like Under the Sea from Little Mermaid. Okay, never mind. I don't sing to that song. Well, that gets me to the musical moments of Little Mermaid. They're good, but they're also a little overplayed. Like, Under the Sea has to be one of the most popular Disney songs of all time. And Kiss the Girl's another great song. Oh, like I said, I don't mind Under the Sea. I think it's a good song. It's just a little, maybe a little overplayed. Only a little. But, once again, this is still a great Disney movie for sure, starring, of course, Ariel the Mermaid. And, I don't know, nothing else I necessarily need to say about the movie that hasn't been said already. Now, it's not one of my absolute favorite movies, but it is better than some of the other ones I've already talked about. So I'm not really sure what to give it. I think I'll once again give it that solid 3 out of 5. Right dead in the center, nothing too crazy, but nothing that I'm just like, yeah, I don't like. It's just one of those, I should say, typical Disney movies, maybe? I don't know how to call it. It's not one of my absolute favorites, but, you know, it's a good one. It's a classic, for sure. I also love Flounder. He's adorable. But, yeah, great movie. Nothing else I gotta say. Next up, we have Beauty and the Beast. So we're leaving the 80s and getting into the 90s. One of my absolute favorite eras of Disney movies. So, we started off with Beauty and the Beast. And, oh man, this movie is such a great movie. Also, I do want to say this. In the beginning of the video, I talking about every single Disney movie that I watched. After sitting here and getting through a lot of these movies, I realized there's a lot. So this is how we're going to do it. This week, we're going to continue talking about the movies up until about after the 90s. Then we're going to stop. And next week, or next time, then I'll talk about the movies from the 2000s and up. Since there is a decent amount of movies in the 2000s and 2010s and a few bad ones in the 2020s, but yeah, you get what I mean. We'll talk about those ones at a different time. So, because this video is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But there's just so many Disney movies out there, and a decent amount of them that I have watched, even if it was back when I was as a kid and I've seen it so many times, or like I said, got it on Disney Plus, so I figured, hey, why not watch it now? Well, anyway, I love Beauty and the Beast. This one is such a classic to me, and it's so nostalgic. Like, this is how you do a really, really good Disney movie, and, you know, kind of make it different compared to some of those other, well, I say different, but thinking about it, like, there's things I can think of that do remind me of other Disney movies. Like, I definitely see some Cinderella in here. I definitely see some Sleeping Beauty in here. Probably some Snow White. I probably also see some Little Mermaid could also be in here as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of different Disney movies, but this one is one of those ones that I really do like. Like, for starters, Bella's a great character, and so is the Beast. So, it's neat seeing these two interact with each other. The villain is great, Gaston, and his sidekick, LeFou. The music in this movie is also really great. Heck, even the slow song, Tale as Old as Time, isn't that bad. Because, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the slower songs in Disney movies. Never have, never will be. So, seeing a slower song that I actually don't necessarily mind is great. And of course, there's a lot of other great songs in this movie too, like the Mob song, the Gaston song, and heck, even the very beginning song, the opening, is a really great song as well. Like, this is a really great movie for sure. It's another nostalgia one. It has great music. I'd give this one probably about a 4 out of 5. Not the 5, just because the fact that I've seen this movie a lot, so it does get a little repetitive, but I still think it's a great classic Disney movie, so what else did I say? Great movie for sure. Time to move on. Next up, time for Aladdin. How do I rate this movie? So Aladdin was one of those movies that I haven't really seen much as a child. In fact, I didn't really like it much as a child and a young kid because of the fact that, it just wasn't for me. Why watch this when I have my animal movies? Well, anyway, I did watch this more recently as I was obviously older, and I mean, it's a good movie, but it's not one that necessarily stuck with me, if you know what I mean. Like, it's great, I can see what it's going for, but I just think there's better ones out there. And this movie is kind of overrated, not gonna lie. Now, one thing I do like, obviously, besides Robin Williams as the genie, he does a great job as the genie, and the genie is really hilarious. But I also love the music in this movie. The music is so great. From Arabian Nights to Never Had a Friend Like Me, once again, even the slow song is great. A Whole New World. Like, it's not just your typical bland, boring, sad, sappy song. No, they're actually doing something with it. Like, it's almost like a Rainbow Road from Mario Kart, if you know what I mean. It's triumphant. It's not just boring and slow and dumb. Well, then of course you have Jafar, who is your main villain of the movie. He's a great villain, I guess. I don't know. Once again, this isn't a movie that I necessarily remember much of, but it's here. I'd give it probably like a 3 out of 5. Almost lower than that, but I'll say it's a 3 out of 5. So, yeah, Aladdin. If it wasn't for the music, I'd probably give it more like a 2 out of 5. But the music saves this movie for sure. Because I don't mind it, I just think it's very overrated. Next up is The Lion King. I mean, who hasn't seen The Lion King? Let's just be for real. Now, unfortunately, in my opinion, this has to be the most overrated Disney movie of all time. At least that I can think of off the top of my head right now. But, man, I don't understand what's so phenomenal about this movie. It's just a bunch of lions and critters in Africa, so I don't understand what's so, what makes this movie so great. Is it the story? I will say the story is good, but I just feel like I've seen this story before in a way, but also maybe not. I don't know. I'm at the point where I just want something different. Well, anyway, I don't know. I just find this movie very overrated. Now I do love Simba. I think he's a great character. He's very cute as a kid. Him and Nala's dynamic in the movie. The iconic scene where his dad dies and, a few other scenes, of course, in this movie are also iconic. Now, another thing is, I think the songs in this movie are very below, well, maybe not below, but yeah, some of them are definitely below average. Like Circle of Life, I don't like this song at all. It's just so bland and boring to me. And it's nothing crazy, and once again, it's extremely overrated. Same can be said with Hakuna Matata. I'm sorry, I'm not the biggest fan of that song either. I do like Timon and Pumbaa, they're great characters, but even they can't save this film. And there is parts of me that say, I can see where the people are coming from, and there is scenes that I definitely can see some great moments in, but then there's scenes that are just bland and boring, or just feel like, I don't know, that I'm just not a biggest fan of. So, certain parts of that, it almost feels like Aladdin all over again. I do think the story is a bit better than Aladdin, in a way, but unfortunately I think the music is better in Aladdin. The best song in this movie would probably have to be Prepared. That's the only one that's not really annoying. I Just Can't Wait to Be King, that one's okay. I don't know. This movie is just I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about this movie. So, I would like to give it a 3 out of 5, but because of the fact the music isn't the greatest either, I'm unfortunately might have to give it a 2 out of 5. I don't know yet. I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 for now, because I can't make up my mind. So, in its way, there's parts of this movie that I do like, but there is also parts that I don't like, and I do find it very overrated. And the songs don't help either, so I'm sorry. With the most overrated Disney movie out of the way, let's get to the next movie. Next up, we have Hercules. So this is better, in my opinion, than The Lion King, because, for starters, it's not overrated. Second off, the story is better. And third off, the music. The music is miles better in this movie than in Lion King. I love the gospel theme to the music, and basically every single song in this movie is really good. Even the slow I'll Go the Distance song isn't terrible either, which is great. One of my favorites, I don't know. I like the opening song, Gospel Truth. That one's a great one. And I also love Zero to Hero. That one's another really great one. Zero to Hero is probably my favorite in the movie. And I love the song that Meg sings, too. I Won't Say I'm in Love. That song is just, once again, another great... what need I say? It's just so good. And the story is great, too. I mean, it's your typical cutesy, lovey-dovey story, but it's actually a lot more... And I love the way that it goes in this movie, where Meg falls in love with Hercules. And even if it doesn't work, even though it didn't work with her last boyfriend, so she has to make a deal with Hades, the villain. And that's another thing. This movie does a great job with its villain. Hades is a great villain for sure. He's your great comic relief character, but he's also the villain. So he's just overall downright a really, really, really great character overall. Other minor characters like Phil and, the horse, they're great characters too, but they're, your typical side characters. Overall, this movie is really great for sure. There are some scenes that are kind of like, seen it, but other than that, I really do like this movie, and I can't believe it took me to 2020 or 2021 to watch this movie. So yeah, this movie would get probably about a 4 out of 5. Next up, we have Tarzan. And this will be the last movie that we'll be talking about for today. Because the other movies, obviously the ones that I haven't talked about before that we passed, are ones that I've never seen before. Or that I've seen maybe once a while ago and I just don't really remember it. And of course, we have the 2000s and up, which we'll talk about later on. Because like I said, this video ended up being way longer than I thought it was going to be. But hey, at least we get to end it on a really great movie. I like Tarzan. I think it's a great movie. Once again, I'd take this any day over something like Jungle Book or even Lion King and Aladdin, just for the story alone. It focuses on, I guess, this man who got trapped in the jungle after his parents died. So he ends up getting adopted by the gorillas, and he now lives amongst the gorillas. And he ends up meeting a girl that he falls in love with named Jane. So now he has a dynamic with Jane, and that's when we get our... as a kid, I always thought he was a surprise villain, but once you watch this movie, you're like, nah, we could totally see him as the villain of the movie, Clayton. So, he's probably the weakest part of the movie, because he is probably my least favorite character of the movie. But even then, he isn't terrible or annoying or anything. His death is something crazy, though, like Jeebus. But anyway, with that aside, I do think this movie is still really great. I just love, the story alone is what really makes this movie. Now, the music, because we're still in that musical era, although after the 90s we definitely start to get out of the musical era in a way. So, but at least when the 2000s come along, they still do a really great job with their music. So it doesn't necessarily, bother me that we're kind of out of the musical era after this movie at this point. But yeah, there's a lot of things to love about this movie. Music is okay. It's not one of those ones where I think it's maybe a little overrated, because some of the songs are just to me. But like Son of Man, I'm not a big fan of that one. Although Strangers Like Me isn't that bad, and that's probably my favorite song in this movie, because it's one that's actually, pretty decent. Or Two Words, One Family isn't bad either, I guess. But yeah, overall, great Disney movie for sure. I'd give it probably about a 4 out of 5. So, that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said before, we will be talking about the 2000s, 2010s, and the 2021s that I've seen in the next video, because there's definitely a lot of those ones that I've seen of too. So we'll be talking about those ones in the next video, because this video went on a lot longer than expected. But yeah, overall, at least in the, like, I'd say 80s and 90s era, and even 70s, there's a lot of great Disney movies. Even the early ones. Like, they're all, in a way, classics. Most of them are, at least. So, I'm interested to see, you know, some of these 2000 movies, because, I don't know, Disney went through kind of a iffy time in the 2000s, just like it is nowadays. So, I'm interested to see, you know, where the franchise goes from there, huh? Well, it's I don't know. It's a very interesting topic to talk about. I love Disney, as y'all know. We go to the Disney parks. In fact, that's something we're doing this year in November. So I'll probably be taking like a week or two off. We'll see. But definitely that Sunday that we're gone, I'll be taking off. Well, anyway, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time in the part 2. So, I hope you guys all have a great day.